Hi, everyone. Happy Monday. We're supposed to go live on this session, but unfortunately, the internet is not giving us that chance. So we are doing the recording, and hopefully that somehow we can get part of it live. And we're going to post the recording soon, since we're done with the conversation. So today is Monday, September 14th, and welcome to our conversation. And today we have an encore of Lisa Ann and David Blake to come back and educate us some more about the government system and the voting system, which we are so desperately needed. It's only 50 more days, she said. So let's get started. My name is Lee Tran. I'm going to do it real quick. I am part of the co-host on this conversation Monday through Friday, every day from 5 o'clock to 5:30. Today we're going to push a little later because, well, it's not live. It doesn't matter. So, um, so I have been through a little bit of a journey to get here. So this conversation is about from surviving to thriving. And my co-host and I have been through a very rough journey getting here as an immigrant 40 years ago to be in this country. And I have written a book, and now it's a memoir available on Amazon if you are interested in reading my story. It's called I Did Not Miss the Boat. The author is Lee Tran. So if you want to preview a little bit of what happened, go to my website, leatran.com, Leatran. And I'm going to pass the mic to my co-host, Sarah M. And then we're going to go straight from here to the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sarah M. And similar to Lee, I have a rough background that I grew up in a country that went through the war. I grew up in Cambodia, and my country turned into communism, and we got mistreated, and a lot of people get killed, and it's a very hard time. But I'm grateful that I'm survived, and I've been to United States since 1981, so almost 40 years, and I'm just so grateful that I'm here. But I'm so look forward to learn more about the voting process and everything. I have been voting for 25 years so far, but I'm still not knowing everything. Still need to learn some more. So that's all about me. And my story is in the book. It's called How I Survived the Killing Fields. And it's available on my website, sarahim.com. Thank you. Back to you, Lee.
All right, we're going to have either Lisa Ann's going to talk to us a little bit about, what her journey, what brought her here. This is actually the fifth show that we have with her. She's been gracefully giving us YouTube, educational YouTube every week. We get to see one. So Lisa, do you want to introduce yourself again a little bit just to see that people understand where you're from and why you do what you do?
Yes, absolutely. Hi, everybody. I am Lisa Ann Fontana. I'm the author of Me the People and the creator of Citizen Cupcakes and Welcome Parties. What I do, I have the book that I have is a how-to guide to understand more easily your government. It's basic civics, civility, community, communication, and civility. All of that kind of pushed together. You put all those 4 C's together and you get yourself a country. We haven't had civics taught to us in the last 50 years. They've been removing it more and more over time to the point that now we aren't even teaching civics anymore. And if you don't have civics, you don't have civility. And without civility, you don't have a country. And in between that are the other 2 C's. So I decided to fix that. And the way I fixed it is I created these welcome parties. I used to do them live, and we've had to scale that back in the age of COVID. So we created 6 videos to let people come together online. Every Saturday night, we run them for free. So I'm the host along with David, and we play all these videos, and we open up the discussion, and we walk everyone through. So it's like a big party where we're all together. But anytime you want, you can go to methepeoplevote.com and click on Welcome Party, and that will take you to the page that shows you how to host your own party. And they're designed to get you comfy in your country and confident in your vote. And comfy to me means you feel welcome and wanted in your government, and you feel comfortable finding your place in it because your government needs and deserves you, but it should be on your terms where you want to put yourself, if that makes sense. So every week we've shown you a different video, and today was supposed to be how to have a political conversation without bloodshed, but David and I were and it's a good one. So it's actually it's my second favorite of all 6 of them, because it really shows us all how to have conversation with each other, and also how to stop one if you don't want a political bully bothering you. But we had the privilege of interviewing Bill Cowles last week, and David cut the video, and we're going to show that to you today instead. Bill Cowles is the Supervisor of Elections for Orange County, Florida. What we're seeing is that people who might be registered to vote are still afraid to cast a vote. That was me for most of my life. I didn't vote till I was 35. And so it's important to me to start bridging that gap between people and their government. And so if you're nervous about voting, or you've heard so much on TV about mail-in voting is bad, and walking into your polling place, you might get beaten up, or there'll be poll watchers, or they'll be suppressing you, it's enough to make you just want to give up. I'm not going to do that. So what we did is we started reaching out to different elected officials and asking them to demystify what they do. So if you want to vote, all things in your county go through your county supervisor of election. Depending on your state, we're all here in Florida. If you're in a different state, it could be your county clerk's office. It could be the director registrar's office, just a registrar. What you want is to just find the people who handle elections, and we're going to show you how to do that. But first, Dave, I want to turn it over to you if you want to just talk to them about the interview itself, and then when you're ready, just play it for them. It's very short. We just took a little snippet to get you guys excited.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm David Blake, a professional speaker and Lisa Ann's partner in this endeavor of helping people around the country get more comfortable. And this interview was really enlightening and helped break down a lot of barriers and make people more comfortable in this process that we're going through, and to take that government building angst out of the way. So I'm going to play this. It's only a couple of minutes, and then we can chat. Special guest today, Supervisor of Elections, Bill Cowles. Welcome, Bill.
Thank you. My pleasure.
To show the human side of government workers and to make us all more comfortable, number one, when you were a kid, what did you want to do when you grew up? Was Supervisor of Elections on that list?
No. When I was growing up in Miami, I was very active in the Boy Scouts. I was an Eagle Scout, and I did come to work here in Orlando for the Boy Scouts, and I thought my whole career would be with the Boy Scouts of America, and I would be moving from one council jurisdiction to another. And then along the way, I recruited my predecessor to be on the Boy Scout board, and she then recruited me to come over and be her chief deputy. And that's how I went from the positive side of scouting to the dark side of politics.
Fantastic. I was a scout myself, so I can understand that. So what is your favorite thing about the job you're doing?
Well, the fact that I get to interact with the community, I get to interact with the poll workers, and basically I like to say every election has its own personality. So each election is different. Each one brings a new challenge, and being able to meet that challenge is key.
For you, what would you like people to know that you do that's cool, helpful, or you just wish everybody was more aware of?
Well, the unique thing is there's only one supervisor of elections in each county. So we are your source for information about the election process. And as many people are learning right now, there are so many outside groups, from political parties to advocacy groups to general interest groups, who are all trying to share the message about voting with the voter. But if you have questions about your status and how you get to vote in your election, then you need to come to the source, and the source is your county elections office, whether you contact us by phone or by email, or most of the information is on our websites, both to give you information, but also for you to look up and verify information about yourself, whether am I registered to vote? Where is my polling place? What does my sample ballot look like? What are the deadlines and all? So again, you make sure that you're coming to the source to get the exact information you need to be prepared to vote in an election. Remember, our federal government sets the date for the federal elections, but after that, it's left up to the 50 states to create their own election laws. And so when Florida is a state where most everybody came here from someplace else, they bring the elections from where they came. And I'm very familiar with Lance Goff, who just retired in Chicago, and Bob Sarr, who was over in another county in Illinois. And so when people move here, they bring with them the laws of that state, and they think those laws are in play in Florida. But now you're here in Florida, you're going to vote in a Florida election, you got to play by the Florida election laws.
Most important question, and that's great. What is your favorite cupcake?
A chocolate cupcake with Oreo icing and a big Oreo cookie on the top.
That was fun.
Thank you, David. Appreciate you playing that. Yeah, David asked the important question, didn't you? There was a couple of questions we were able to ask. It's a much longer interview. It's about 45 minutes. We're going to chop it up into small pieces and questions, but that one to me felt like he removed a lot of the mystique. He also talked about mail-in voting, but what I want people to do is to just feel comfortable. Everything you need comes through your Supervisor of Elections office, and so feeling good about it, feeling comfortable making a phone call. My sister today asked me, she said, I don't have time and it makes me too nervous. Would you just figure out how to get my ballot ordered for her? I went to the website of her Supervisor of Elections and it wasn't very helpful. So I did what they tell you to do. I called and I got a lovely woman named Camilla. She's out of Lake County, Indiana. And she could not have been nicer. She ordered the ballot up. She brought up their names, saw that they were registered voters, and the applications were sent to their homes today. It's not that difficult, but it's overwhelming if you feel uncomfortable. So I've asked her now, her first night off, because all the parents in the world now are stuck homeschooling their children, so they're very stressed. So I took care of it, but she's going to watch this video because you shouldn't feel stressed. I don't want you thinking about voting or about your government, about your country, and ever feeling a moment of, ugh. And so what I'd like to do right now, David, if you have it up, would you take us over to VoteSmart.org?
Yes, I would be happy to. And
Before you go, David, I just want to ask a question. Is there a way that you can follow up what's the ballot's going to mail to you? Because I know that I think we mail out a couple weeks ago to request for the ballot to mail. And how do you know that when they start mailing out the ballot to your home? Like,
he answered that question. I can't remember the date. I feel like it was the end of the month. It might not be until October 5th that they get mailed. Every single state is different, and I'm not entirely sure that every county is different. However, we're going to take you to VoteSmart now, and when you find your Supervisor of Elections by county, you click on their website, and most of the websites so far, like I said, Indiana today, it's we've looked them up all over the country, but the one there didn't happen to. Most of them have important dates across the top, and it'll say early voting from this date to this date, election day this date, and then it'll say dates ballots are mailed out, dates that you can get them. But if you requested it and you live in Florida, you can go on and you can find out. You should be able to on their website. It'll tell you the date your mailing ballot. What Bill explained to us, at least here, is you track your ballot. And you go on and you can say when was it sent? And it'll say it was sent on this date, and it was sent as in on this date. And then it'll tell you when it was open and handled. Because
we didn't think that it would take this long. I think
only if they're waiting. Like has a hold. They're not even able to
Right.
ballots right now. In
Right.
Florida, it depends on the date that they actually are allowed to get sent out. And in my head,
Right.
October 5th, but I can't.
Right.
Too many dates.
You're correct.
Yeah, I want to make sure that it's a couple weeks for the ballot to get to, sent back to them.
Yes, and what I tell people now, especially if you're nervous about mailing it, putting it through the mail, because there are some issues right now. What we did for the primary is we showed everyone by video. We drove at 8:30 at night to the Supervisor of Elections office and hours in our county, and right outside the door there is a spot where you can put it in. There's
Oh,
an
wow.
box.
Okay.
Florida, Bill also talked about that, and we'll be sure to send the link to you guys so you can share it with everyone.
Okay.
Dave's a whiz. He's
That'd be
busy
great.
and working with people and taking meetings, and he's so busy as a speaker. And then on top of it, I make him produce these, going as fast as he can. But what Bill told us is that if during early voting at your early voting locations, they're working to have them at all of them, where it'll be a drive up, drop off, and so it has to be with a person. There's whatever there is with election laws, but they're using tongs so that they can pick
Okay.
distance so that it's going to be
No hand contact.
they're going to collect your ballot, and then they'll have it, and at the end of every night they go back to the Supervisor of Elections office, and then they are scanned, and then so it should show right away. So it's pretty fascinating. I think Florida's doing a wonderful job from what I can see, but that's the process. But when we take you now to VoteSmart, we'll go to your county and we'll look.
Okay.
That might be the easiest.
Okay.
So Dave, if you want to get back into play and walk us through, that'd be awesome.
Totally. So as we're getting there, what county are you in, Lake or Polk?
We're in Lake.
Okay, we'll be able to look that up. Lisa Ann, you can explain this, and I'll just go through as usual.
Perfect. So real quick, you guys, this is votesmart.org. I cannot vouch for them, not that they are good, but I don't know that they are nonpartisan, and that's what I do. Nonpartisan means we aren't worried about the politics of something. It's just information and policies. But they have the one thing nobody else has. Dave, if you'll scroll all the way to the bottom, and I've been looking for years to find another one-stop shop, no politician, no office can help me. Under elections and candidates, click on that. Very obscure. Be very proud of me. It took me a long time to track this down for you guys. Click on election contacts, and we'll send you guys the link so you can share it. This is every single election office of every county of every state in the union. And so you select your state, and we're going to select Florida, and then we'll go to your county. And then you get to the state, and then once you get there, you just look up your county, and it's going to give you the website, the fax number, the phone number, and the address, the physical address to help you out.
I forgot how many there are. So here's Lake right here.
Okay, so click on the website if you would, so you can see that's your address, Boulevard Post Office. Oh, it only leaves you with a box, though. I'm noticing that doesn't look like they all have boxes, so who knows. So click on the website. And we'll head over real quick. Okay. And then you got frequently asked questions, information on registering to vote, vote by mail, early voting, where do I vote, current elections. Dave, I can't read the other two because you're popped over them.
Oh, gotcha.
But you can just scroll up maybe to the top and we can see them.
There we go.
Okay.
A little bit higher. Okay, David, can you just read the last two? I couldn't read them. Just across the top so people can see what they all are.
Sorry. So election workers and contact us.
Perfect. And if you want to contact them, you can contact them online. They are very good about answering. My personal position is that the phone call is better. They are overwhelmed, and they will take your call, but they will get back to voicemails and emails later. So call, even if you're nervous about calling, even if they're not as nice as they should be. Most people, especially Florida, they're pretty nice. But it tells you voter information and election information. And I'm trying to see if they have any dates here. Usually they have, maybe frequently asked questions would have it. Oh, here, presidential election important dates. September 24th, begin mailing vote by mail ballots.
Okay.
They should be placed in the mail on September 24th.
Okay. Awesome.
Oh, that's right. October 5th's in my head for a different reason. That's the last day you can register or change parties in the election. 1 month
Oh,
before
this
the
is
election. So
helpful.
yes, and this is what I want for everybody at home, that when you dive on here, everything feels daunting, and I want you to feel daunted less. And so getting to know Bill, that's the guy. When you go to this website and you get nervous, on this site, Dave, would you scroll back to the top? And I believe there should be, usually there's a picture of the person and the name of your county election. So
Yeah.
so if we get the chance to interview Alan, we're going to ask Alan what his favorite cupcake is, who he wanted to be when he grew up. And these are just people. And by the time it gets to us, it's very technical. All the layers get on, and then the lawyers get in. The next thing you know, you're afraid to fill out your ballot because you think the IRS is going to come to your house and take it because you had voter election fraud. It is so, you really have to want it to get in trouble for elections. And in fact, I want you guys to be instilled with the power that this is your vote. They have to bend over backwards for you. If you walk into your polling place to vote and they don't want to let you because there's a problem, you got 2 feet. You stand them and stick them to the ground and you say, hey, hi, I'm standing here until I get to vote my full ballot. If you need to call the office where they have election lawyers whose job is not to figure out how to keep you from voting, their job is to stand up for you. You pay for that service. Their job is to say, wait, oh, I'm sorry, Lisa Ann can't vote. Well, why? Well, her signature doesn't match her address. Okay, well, hold on. And they're going to get into it and they're going to help you. If you just stand your ground and say, I have a legal federal right to vote, and you do, they will figure it out. It's just a matter of, if you're at the polls, you're dealing with people. That's what we all have to remember. Think about how difficult everything is right now. We got COVID, we got kids at home, we got family, we can't see. There's a lot of stuff happening that makes it so hard to be present. Don't assume that someone's bad mood or someone's curt attitude means that they aren't going to help you, that they don't respect you or don't care about you. They're just distracted. So you to it. But hopefully this makes you feel a little bit better and a little more confident stepping in. And then for me, as always, if you're having trouble and things aren't working, you can reach out to us on our website. All I want you to do is feel really comfy in your country, so that if you're not voting, don't let it be because you chose not to. Never let it be because you felt like you were going to get it wrong, because we can help you.
Intimidated or anything, right? Yeah.
Which I was, just to be clear, I didn't vote for a long time. It's intimidating. The first time I walked into a polling place, it was horrible. I made my sister vote 4 years later, and she called me crying because they wouldn't let her vote. They gave what's called a provisional ballot, which lets you vote for the president, but not everybody else. And it was a whole thing. And I had to clear that up with the Chicago Board of Elections. It's not like just calling Bill because Chicago's 12 million.
You've come a long way.
Things change. If you can see me that day to this day, you would think, well, she can do it. You totally can. And trust me, as long as if you go vote in person, refuse to leave until it. And they will. This is not a test of wills. This is people not being present to the fact that you are a very important person today. You are an American casting a vote.
And
thank you for emphasizing that, because so many times we think that we don't have the right, but that is our right. So thank you for reassuring the feeling that you're not doing anything wrong by wanting to vote. So that's important.
In my book, there's a whole section I had to do a rewrite in 2016, and I added it. It's the ballot. It's a ballot blue, snafus and ballot blues. And it was that section that that's the number one thing I kept hearing about. People were being intimidated at the polls. Things were not going well. And I said, okay. I wrote it in the book. And the book says, if you buy my book and you take it with you, you can show them the book. And the book says, I have a legal right to vote. And if I don't, you have to put in writing why I can't vote and sign your name. And believe me, nobody is going to take, because there are huge because we hold them sacrosanct. It's just a matter of getting people to focus, and they will focus when you say, great, if I can't vote, write down and sign your name. Oh, let's get an election judge over here. It feels,
and if you sound like you know something, they will stop intimidating you.
Yes. Half the time they don't think they're being intimidating. They're just doing their job. They just think, well, if you were prepared, then you'd be voting. And you think, hold on. I'm going to vote anyway. So yes, it's a strange situation, but we're fixing it, you guys. That's when we get a new president in, that's great. I mean, whoever gets voted, that's a system done. What I do every day has to do with making sure all of us gets comfy in our country, confident in our vote, and we are rebuilding democracy, because the fact that any one person feels that way says you should fix it. The fact that 92 million feel that way, huge
Right.
crisis that we are addressing one day at a time, one cupcake at a time. David, say I'm sorry.
You are wonderful. I'm just so grateful for what you are doing for the country. Thank you so much.
Thank you. David, you had one more thing to say. What was that?
That with the election judges, first of all, Lisa Ann has had dozens of people contact us and say, I showed them in the book that I have.
Oh,
They've actually taken the book to the polls, and then the people that were giving them a hard time backed down. And the election judge is actually an attorney, whether they're on premise or they're contacted by phone. They are actually an attorney in most.
They're not. The election judges aren't attorneys. The election judges are in charge and have the phone number to reach the attorneys, and they have the responsibility at the polls to take care of it. Occasionally they also might be one, but they're not necessarily attorneys. They're in charge of that polling place, and they have to, if there's a problem, they're the ones that are supposed to step in. If poll workers don't know to ask for them, that's why I want you guys to know you have the legal right to ask for your election judge. Or simply just remember this: who's in charge? I want that lady or that guy. And be quiet. That's the hardest thing. I'd like the person in charge, please. And then they'll get it. As long as you're quiet, people can't stand silence.
Yeah.
They'll get you where you need.
Huh. So if you are changing your signature, it could pose a problem if your signature does not match.
Yes, Bill did a little piece on that for us. Here's the problem right now in the age of COVID. The only way to know if your signature has changed. So let's say you've developed some kind of disorder or arthritis, or you got married and you might have changed it at the DMV to get your license, but you didn't change it with them. So you physically need to go to a building of your supervisor of elections and look at it if you want to know if you have to change it. But you can scrap the whole thing and just, like right now, you guys, I suggest you call them with your individual problem, because there's too much going on. We're 50 days out, and just that time period is just, they're very stressed there physically. There's just too much to do. Under any normal circumstances, you would just go ahead and fill out an update registration. So you just want to update it. And when you update your registration, you might have moved, so you're changing your address. You might have gotten married and physically changing your last name, and you might have changed your signature. And those are the reasons, and also your party. If you used to be a Democrat or Republican, whatever it was, you might want to change it. Those are the reasons you would get an update registration form, and you'd fill it out. And when you get to the end of that, you sign it, and you can say, I need to have my signature updated. They're going to scan that signature, and that will become your new one. But if you registered at, say, 19, especially for ladies, if you've gotten married and changed your name, you're going to want to call, because dollars to donuts, your signature will not match. They have a great system for trying to match them on the back end, but 25% of all ballots, that was true in Illinois, and it seems to be true in every state, get kicked out because of the signature. So on the plans,
what if you just change your pensive? It's like you figure that you want to change your signature, not because you change your name, but you're writing, and is that going to cause a problem too?
It
People
depends.
don't change your signature until after you're voting.
Yeah, you want to wait on that. He said a good rule of thumb is to look at your driver's license, because here there are eight years you can have them, but what you're supposed to be able to do is say, look at your driver's license, and how you signed that should be what your registration status would also show.
Is the picture not good enough?
Like a photo instead of
the photo of your. I mean, it's
law.
not good enough.
Yeah. Whatever reason, these are different state laws where even if you look. So if you go to vote in person, the bigger issue right now is mailing, because they've had just a windfall, a massive amount of people who are voting from home. And that's when it's going to be difficult, because if you go in person and your license, your signature doesn't match, you can stand there and clear it up. You can do what I just told you to do.
Sure.
But when you send it in,
Right.
now it's just going to be kicked out. Now, again, you have ballot tracking capability. Almost every state in the union, you can track your ballot. Not every state, but almost. And Florida's one of them. So there's a scanning number that comes across the ballot you'll get in the mail. And when you return it, that's going to get scanned into a system, and then you can go online and you can see, did they receive my ballot? And then it'll say, yes, we've got it. And if it's invalid, you'll be told that as well. So depending on how much time is left, you can fix it. Now, usually that means you're going to have to go vote in person at an early voting location or on the day of. But at that point, it's a case-by-case basis. Mostly this goes off without a hitch. I like to harp on the signature because particularly this year, a lot of unlikely voters who've been registered when they were students never voted. And you could be 30, you could be 35. I was registered to vote. I don't even know how that happened. I was registered. I had never voted in my life. So I'm 35, and my original signature was from when I was 16. And a lot of states just keep them over time. So all you want to do is it feels upsetting, but I'd just breathe in and breathe out and know this is just technical. Every I has to be dotted, every T has to be crossed, because that's a government operation. Years ago, someone told me if it was up to the government to find a cure for polio, which ravaged our nation 60 years ago, 70 years ago, long time, we would have the best iron lung money could buy, but no cure. Because that's how government functions. It's very bureaucratic and slow and not dynamic. So Amazon updates every day to make our purchasing experience easier and easier. Government makes it harder and harder and harder. It's not intentional. It's just how government functions.
All the red tapes that they have to go through, the bureaucracy that they need to go through. But
because nothing for business, government takes care of everything you can't make money at. That's why you don't want necessarily people who are good at business to run a government. Government takes care of things that don't make money. Streets don't make money. Plumbing doesn't make money. Healthcare to take care of people, social programs. These things don't take money. If they made money, businesses would own and operate them.
Yeah, true. Well, let's hope and pray that the post office will get resolved and all the issues, and then they can deliver the mail quickly and promptly too.
Faster you go, the faster you'll know. So
right
out there, you can check if there's a problem, you can address it. And I say, especially if you have friends or family or anyone that you live with, so social distancing, people you already live with, I like the idea of showing people democracy in action. So we had a lot of fun going over to the Supervisor of Elections office and dropping off our ballot in person. I didn't go in because I didn't want to make anybody sick, but there is a dropbox there, and it said on there, Osceola County Supervisor of Elections. There's something democratic about being a part.
So you hand delivered. You don't need a stamp or anything. You just get that letter into that box. Either you can hand delivering it, or you can mail by mail.
And when you deliver by mail, you do get an envelope that you can return it in. So I'm glad you said that, because some people are nervous when you turn in your ballot, you seal it all up. So you fill it out. It goes inside this. It goes inside this. Lick it. Close it. The back side is. So just if this was your envelope, here we go. The backside is going to have all of your personal information on it. So it's got your name, it's got your signature, it's got a lot of info here, and then your tracking number is somewhere around the middle. Some people don't want anyone to see their signature or that information.
Right.
So if you put it in another envelope so it's safe, okay, but then you have to pay for it. So in Florida, not every state, in Florida, you don't have to pay for postage according to bill. But if you want to keep your signature to yourself, then you actually have to pay for postage. Or you can drive right there to a Dropbox, or you can go to your early voting locations that you can find right there on your Supervisor of Elections line. You just find out where they're going to be, and you can drop it off there, and they will take it from you and put it in a bin. So there's a lot of options. It's a matter of thinking, how do I want to vote? Let's about it for fun. This is your life. This is your time. Do you want to vote in person? Do you want to vote early? So you want to vote in person, but early, which means you won't be there on this big important day when it's really busy. There's different locations, different times, and you can go when there's less people. That might be your option. You also have the right in this state to vote by mail. You don't have to say why. You don't have to, like in Indiana, they have to say why. They only want the elderly, the sick, and the disabled. Or you have to have a good enough reason. You could be a new mom. There's a million reasons. And in this year, she doesn't want to vote in person for obvious reasons. But once you've done that, these are your options. You get to sit and pick. I like to do it at home because then I can show you how to compare and contrast candidates.
Yeah.
It's really helpful. A lot of fun. The more you watch, the more you do this, the less offensive it's going to feel, the less oppressive it'll feel. For right now, just that first step, decide for yourself, how do you want to vote of your 3 options? And then go to your Supervisor of Elections and read and see what they tell you about when that option. If you vote on voting day, November 3rd is your day. If you vote during early voting, now you have to check and see who's open when and when it starts. And if you want to vote by mail, at the end of this month, 24th, we said, they'll send you out your mail-in ballot, but you have to request that, and that requires you contacting your Supervisor of Elections, Mr. Bill, or your Bill.
Well, thank you for the heads up about, all your information will be exposed unless you want to put into another envelope, which I'm sure lots of us will do that because you don't want everything to be out there. But unless, you drive to the spot. But I didn't even know that. And I don't know why they didn't fold it in the way that your information will not be exposed.
It's a legal thing. When you put it into the envelope and you seal that envelope, they have you sign it and put your info on it so that if there's a problem with the ballot, they can contact you right away. But
okay.
When you vote, your ballot is to be secret. And in order to be secret, you have to be able to, but once it's sealed, we have to know you're the one who sealed it. Because then if I stole your ballot and I signed a fake name, then that's election fraud or voter fraud. And so it all starts to feel a little weird, but that is the point behind it. But also if you drive and drop it off, those are handled specifically by people who are going to see all your info anyway. They are election officials. And that's okay.
No way around it.
They could look you up right now and see everything
that
you're giving them. But the last thing on that is if you are voting by mail, there's a place to put your phone number. Put your phone number. Now, I'm not telling you what you have to do. I'm saying if there's a problem with your ballot, if maybe you did forget to, maybe something's gone wrong, anything that went wrong, if you put your phone number, they don't have to spend all their time researching you. You'll go in a bin to be dealt with later. Otherwise, there's a problem with Lee.
Right.
Hey, Lee, we're looking at your ballot, kid. Something's wrong. That's how this works. A real human being will call you on the phone, but if you don't have a number, you get pushed to the back of the line. So it's kind of nice to get it done fast, now, and no.
Right. Right. It is a big it is a big operation. So sometimes things could go wrong, and it will go wrong.
Because there's people involved. Systems will fail. We're all just using the best systems we can. If something goes wrong with your ballot, God isn't smiting you. You weren't being singled out. 25% of ballots get kicked back just in Chicago because of a signature issue. That's just the way it is. We need a better system, but in the absence of that, 25%, that could happen to absolutely anybody.
So folks, the lesson here is prepare early and know what to do when problem arise. And Lisa Ann have always putting the website, I think, things that you can reach your supervisor in your area, where to find it. Please take a moment to get familiar with your preparation, so when things that come up, you know what to do with it. Awesome. Thank you so much. I think our time has really, we need more, but we want to respect people's time as well. And I'm so sorry if you have to come back and watch the replays, because we're going to record and we're going to put out, and hopefully tomorrow will be better, because Florida, from day to day, we don't know which day the internet will comply and which way is not.
Hey, David, last thing you were going to say, was there one last piece they needed?
I was basically going to say that if you can watch this video, in most counties, you can check and make sure your ballot was received and there were no problems. If there is a problem and it was received early enough, then you can rectify that either by phone, online, or by stopping in.
Awesome. Any questions, Sarah? You're muted.
Yeah, Lisa Ann covered a lot of good information.
Thank you.
So appreciate that.
Happy to do it. Thrilled to
All
do it.
right. Yeah, we've got a few more Mondays, so I'm really grateful that you're going to be here every Monday and hand-holding people who want to drop your questions or want to reach out. We are going to be here until the election day, which is 5 more Mondays, 6 more Mondays,
50
something like that. So hopefully for the next few Mondays we can go live and you can drop in and you can put in any question that you have during the week as well. So thank you so much everyone for being here with us, and we'll post the information out. So I will see you all next Monday.
Okay.
Thank you everyone. Bye.
Bye.